this bike is fun to ride. What's going on, guys? This is Carl, the RacerRed channel. I really enjoy riding my 450 in the desert, but it's no two-stroke. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's way harder to turn that four-stroke. It's way harder on all your muscles, way more fatiguing to ride. Well, this is way slimier than it looks. I can feel the front or the rear end sinking down and sliding and spinning. Way slimier than it appears on the surface. And I do have a bib on this tire. Alright, so we are good. I just wanted to make sure that what I was feeling is the slime and not the tire. I do believe I need on this side of the fence. Nice looking plane. Birdie. Anyways, guys, I wanted to bring up a topic that I've talked about before, and that is the financial world market. And I just think that this is probably a taboo topic, and so if you don't appreciate me talking about it, then I've got lots of other videos you can watch. And also, I'm not a financial advisor, so this is not financial advice, and I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just a guy out here riding around on a motorcycle, so keep that in mind when you're listening to me. But now that we got that out of the way, I've been fairly accurate in my past financial videos. What I did say on one of them is that, I think finding a hedge is definitely a good thing to do in a market that you just don't trust. And if you are a certain personality type, then you probably don't trust any market, and that's not good either. You have to put yourself out there a little bit, I guess. But what I do is, the really risky things like individual stocks. Pretty much any individual stock is going to be really risky. Like Galat, I actually ended up selling most of that and then buying it again once it was low. In fact, I just bought some more of it because it was up to somewhere around, I think, $25, and now it was really low. The last time I checked it, like $7.50 or something like that. So huge drops. It's okay though. I mean, especially if you diversify and make sure you're not making crazy decisions, because that's really what individual stocks are. They're a huge risk. And basically silver and gold, betting on silver and gold, that's exactly the same thing. You're making a huge bet, you're making a huge risk, and silver and gold should be viewed as a single stock. So, not something that I would recommend putting a huge percentage of your net worth into. And same with Bitcoin. A little bit is fine, but I'm just talking about putting huge sums into those things. I thought you could go under that. Guess not. There was a while there where the market was just skyrocketing, and after that it just completely dropped. Basically, the high growth stocks that drop like that, the S&P 500, if you invested in that, you're way ahead. So if you just did that, then good. That's an awesome place to be, just generally anyways. So the world market though, and how everybody is kind of indebted to each other in a strange way. That's a weird single track out there. The Hills Have Eyes, part 3. I think there's only 2 of those. I'm gonna go get attacked by a bunch of zombies or radiation affected crazy people. anyways, like I said, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking. You do what you do, and don't listen to me if you don't like it. But I will say that I've been fairly accurate on a lot of this stuff. But the United States, and I think this applies to other countries as well, is so indebted. And it's indebted to our enemies, which is bizarre. I mean, why would you want to be indebted to your enemy? It's one thing to be indebted to your ally, but for us to have said, okay, let's take on a bunch of debt. Let's buy a bunch of stuff. Who should we buy it from? Oh, I don't know. How about China? They seem to want to take us over. All right, let's do that. That sounds awesome. That's how the conversation went. And I have thoughts on that as well. China not being as bad as we make it out to be. You know, they are guilty of human rights violations for sure. But look inward, guys. The United States is destroying a lot of countries with war currently and demolishing their infrastructure, blowing them back into the Stone Age. And we've done countless experiments on people. Really weird things happening with our country, but we won't get into that. And it's always happened, by the way. So every country is brainwashed into thinking that they are morally superior and just superior in every way. Look at it overall, you realize that people are people. They are generally good, and people are nice no matter where you go on this planet. And they just want to get along. They just want to be happy and live their life. So at that point, you become a member of a citizen member of the universe. Sounds like I'm on something when I talk about this kind of stuff, but when you really do zoom out and think of it on a bigger scale like that, you become a member of the universe, the entire planet. You realize that we're floating around on a ball that may as well be the size of a germ in comparison to the rest of the universe and in comparison to other planets even. And if you think of it that way, you also can think of time in that way, which some would say is unhealthy to zoom it out like that, because people like to stay focused on small little increments and whatever it is directly in front of them. But if you do zoom it out, you realize the insignificance of the political biases. So anyways, when you think of time in that, and through those goggles, then you realize how short your time is, and that's dangerous for a lot of people. You know, especially governments who want you to be slaving away. And this all ties in, I promise. But so when you think of time in that way, you realize you have none to waste. What's really important at that point, you can't take anything with you. So what's important is the experiences that you have in your life. And at that point, you realize, oh, maybe I can quit putting so much value onto this worldly stuff and get rid of all these debts in my personal life. Maybe the country won't do that, but in my personal life, I can get rid of these debts, which, by the way, is an ethical question as well. To spend more money than you have and to borrow other people's, that's definitely an ethical question. Once you do that and you become aware of it, it doesn't take long before you want to be debt-free. And since then, I've had crazy amounts of freedom, and I absolutely love it. But here's the thing. You can be a millionaire, but you still have to live frugally. And that's a general truth. If you drop all of your debts, you have the freedom to just pursue your passion, and that's what I've been doing. But I feel like the other way, a lot of people view it just like the man wants you to view it, and that is, hey, I'm ahead of the game. I'm doing really good. I've got a good job. I bought all these houses. I bought at the right time. That type of thing where you're like, yeah, I'm way ahead of this. How can I lose? But I was around in 2008 when everybody did lose. And even if you don't lose, this is the thing. So most people live in a $500,000 house, somewhere around there. And so if they had anything happen, whether that be an injury or anything that disrupts their work, their income flow, they are absolutely underwater in a heartbeat. And that's why you hear a lot of people complain about, issues in the United States, and it's not because of the United States, it's because people here handle money like they're 5 years old. With all that debt, you are trapped in the rat race, which is exactly where the man wants you. And you are forced to sit there, and it's like keeping your lights on with a stationary bicycle. You always have to just be pedaling as hard as you can. Got to keep those lights on. And if there's any reason that you can no longer pedal that bike, you're just done. Absolutely done. That's why, from my viewpoint anyway, that people are just not ahead for real when they do that. When they take on loads of debt, borrow from other people, which is basically borrowing from the public, by the way. You're using other people's money to feel rich, and maybe you are ahead as far as your net worth if you sold everything right this minute, but tomorrow could be completely different. So that's my whole point. Wow, this is slimy. I'm right next to a fence. This is not what it looks like. I know that you guys see this and it looks like sand. Some of it is, but a lot of it's just a slimy, mucky mess. And again, there's no right or wrong way to live. I'm explaining the benefits of becoming debt-free, why you would want to do that. Lots of reasons why you'd want to do it, trust me. So that weight is just lifted off of your shoulders. You don't have to kiss any rings anymore. And the borrower is truly slave to the lender. Here's where the world economy comes into play. That phrase right there. The borrower is slave to the lender. Do you think it's wise to become indebted to the Chinese Communist Party? I don't think it is. And maybe our country's just lying to us completely as far as human rights violations. I have no idea. I do know, though, that when I look at their citizens, a lot of them tend to look pretty happy. So I don't know. And also, I haven't seen any acts of aggression from the Chinese government towards other countries. Any active acts of aggression anyways. Maybe they're playing chess on a 4D scale where maybe the Chinese government just took away your rights and just moved in. Who knows? But regardless, there are a lot of political topics that I don't know for sure what I'm talking about. So I try to stay away from just guessing. That's basically what you would be doing on a lot of that stuff. It's just guessing. And some of you heard Joe Biden speak and listened to his full speech. I've noticed with both sides, the right and the left, that they make things up or they just try to make it appear like something is happening that really isn't. Notice that a lot of people on the radio are putting little snippets of his speech up where where he sounds completely out of his mind. And people have little moments like that where they have to pause and think, and that's okay. You don't need somebody who is crazy good at public speaking. The point is that he didn't say anything too wild. I listened to the second half of his speech when everybody said he was losing it, and there was a couple times where he faltered, but for the most part he just thought about what he was going to say and he said it. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. And this is not a pro-Biden video, by the way. I'm not pro-Biden, but this is a pro-truth video, and both sides have too much hate and too much deception going along with that, trying to make people hate Biden a little too much when he's not even saying most of the stuff. And that's very true. When Trump was in there, talk about hate, holy smokes. I asked one of my friends why he hated Trump so much, and he was like, Russian collusion, and he's a liar. And sometimes he definitely didn't, he spoke a little bit too much out of passion, I think, when he said that he was going to make Mexico build the wall. I think that was just kind of a shot. He was just dunking on Mexico a little bit. That doesn't mean that he's a liar necessarily. Like the Russian collusion thing ended up being mostly the opposite. It ended up being Hillary Clinton that was colluding against Trump. So there's so much hate, and it's crazy on both sides. I mean, the more I go forward, the more I realize that, you know, each side wants their own thing, and we have shifted further left. There's no doubt about that, and I don't like it. But at the same time, parties are both lying so much it's hard to keep track of everything. I think that's probably what they would want, to be honest. If there's something big happening, then they probably want you fighting over stupid little topics like whether or not the president is mentally capable. Well, let's quit talking about that, because it is what it is, and he's saying what he's saying. I mean, let's look at his beliefs. Let's look at what he's actually saying instead. That's what I vote for anyway. Beautiful. Riding without studs this time. Riding with a pretty burned up rear tire. Still got life in it though. I've got a bib in there that's pretty soft, sticky, so see how this goes. Should be able to hook up on most types of surfaces. I think that we should keep allies close and enemies at a distance financially. And starting with our own government, something needs to happen with the transparency there, because I don't like how decisions are made, and it doesn't feel like to me the American people have any say whatsoever. I mean, who's giving them permission to shut everything down? I don't remember voting on that. This kind of power output is the bomb diggity. I miss this thing. This bike is so good. Putting out that power in such a tractable way. Anyways, guys, I think I'll finish off this topic with just a final statement of, I don't think that debt is good for people on so many levels, emotionally, physically, spiritually, in all the ways that physical activity is good for you, debt is bad for you. And that includes our country. There's a weird dynamic when you get really in debt, and there's a weird dynamic with different countries, how they react to each other and the power structures. And China's got a weird power dynamic over us right now, where there's a lot of things being bought up, huge sections of land here in the US being bought up by Chinese companies, and it's not good. It's weird, but I think we need to cut that out. And I think just generally the whole world needs to make their own countries self-sufficient, and the reason for that is political policy and keeping things in-house, because where the money is, politics will follow. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next video. I'm going to continue on and fly the drone. Peace.